Yo, what's good? It's Hide, and welcome to, I suppose, what you would call a news video on Splatoon 3. I'm not really sure how exactly I'm going to format these, but I hopefully plan to cover any updates that are going to be coming to this game as soon as I can. This took a while because the Japanese patch notes for version 1.1.2 of Splatoon 3 have been out for a while now, but the English versions have not been. So firstly, we have changes to connectivity. They've implemented additional measures to reduce the frequency of communication errors following battles and job shifts, which basically just is stability stuff, making sure you're not disconnecting at the end of games. But there were at least a lot of issues prior to 1.1.1. I personally didn't experience any, but I know a lot of people did, and then after 1.1.1 I did begin to experience a lot more frequent occurrences of this. Hell, the game I tried to play before 1.1.2 was an absolute mess. It was just super glitchy and I ended up disconnecting in the end. So yeah, they basically just made the general connectivity and stuff like that significantly better, hopefully anyway. We'll still have to wait and see if that's something that needs to be changed, because the last patch 1.1.1 was like 2 weeks ago, so hopefully this stays actually consistently good and is not something they need to go back and actually fix. But that's it for connectivity. But next we've got changes to the player controls. We've got 3 here. They have fixed issues where players using dualies would stop attacking and enter swim form at the end of the dodge roll, regardless of whether they were holding the ZR button. So basically, instead of continuing to shoot, the player would start swimming in their ink instead, which I guess they don't want. I didn't realize that was a big deal. But next we've got a fix to the drop roller ability, where the player would enter swim form at the end of their drop roll if they pressed the ZR button while holding the ZL button during the drop roll, regardless of whether they continued holding the ZR button. So basically, instead of continuing to shoot, the player would start swimming, regardless of whether the button was held or not. So yeah, basically just similar to the dualies, but instead of being with the dualie dodge rolls, it's with the drop roller dodge roll. And then lastly, for player control fixes, we've got an issue where the splatanas would cause players to perform 2 horizontal slashes following a charge slash, even if they just held down the ZR button. So it basically just means that you don't have to do the horizontal swing and then the vertical swing. Now you can just go straight in to the vertical swing, which is nice. Basically just makes the weapon more consistent. So yeah, that's it for player controls. And next you've got general kind of multiplayer things. So they fixed an issue where players would not take damage for a certain amount of time after their Booyah Bomb armor was broken. So basically just like a period of time after the Booyah Bomb armor is broken, they're still invincible, which of course is a pretty needed fix. Booyah Bomb did get some buffs going from Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3, so I think that is kind of dumb. They definitely need to fix that. But anyway, next, they've implemented measures to prevent issues where players would clip through and get stuck in terrain when turning from swim form into humanoid form near a tacticooler placed in the corner of certain maps. So basically just clipping out of bounds, which of course, I mean, players are going to do that. They're going to find that, and they're probably going to continue to find that. I mean, we've been finding them in Splatoon for years now. And next is the other changes, which are just kind of like miscellaneous stuff. Mostly to do with like sea snails and catalog stuff after the Splatfest, because obviously we didn't have sea snails before the Splatfest. There's no other way to obtain them beyond the Splatfest, at least as far as I'm aware. They fixed an issue where the game would crash when the player finished editing their locker with a photo stand placed in their locker. So just more crash fixes, of course. Good stuff. Fixed an issue with receiving a new catalog after receiving catalog level 100. For a communication error happening or the game crashing could result in the catalog receiving event not triggering. In cases where this issue has already occurred, the catalog receiving event will play again once the player has restarted the software and entered Atlantis. So basically just more fixes of like things like not getting certain items. And similarly, we've got an issue that was fixed relating to Super Sea Snails, and if you were unable to receive Super Sea Snails from the first Splatfest, the final results news broadcast will replay, and you will now be able to collect your Super Sea Snails. So just small stuff like, well, not small stuff, they're pretty big things actually, but yeah, crashes, general things. I think probably the smallest thing was definitely the player control stuff. None of those things were super necessary. Nothing game breaking, like the game functions, just a couple of things. Maybe like a Booyah Bomb and the Tacticooler clipping, and then obviously the other changes like the crashes and not receiving items when they should. And of course communication errors. But yeah, similarly to 1.1.1, this patch was essentially put out quickly to fix these problems, because a lot of them are kind of like, they're issues that are not necessarily significantly more important than balance, but like they are more urgently need fixing, because if they go 3 months with the people not being able to play their video game, of course, you know, it's not the greatest. But yeah, in general, I think this is good. They did note that the next patch, like last time, the next patch would be halfway through this season for a balance patch, I believe. We continue to observe and analyze battle data and are planning to make further adjustments around the midpoint of the current season. So, yeah, we're basically going to be getting the next patch, assuming they don't have to do another quick fix like last time, will be sometime in October, around the 15th, I'd imagine, which is roughly around halfway through. So, another 2 weeks is basically when we're going to get the next patch. Either way, it's probably going to have more of these fixes in there irregardless. But I think that's more going to focus on adjustments to balance and the like. So yeah, that's generally it for 1.1.2. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, I guess. I don't know how to end a YouTube video.